Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Double Tap on YouTube. I am Stephen Scott.
And I am Shaun Preece. Hello.
Hey Shaun, how's your Braille journey going?
Slowly, but I'm still on that journey, so I'm sure I'll get there eventually.
Now look, you and I have been learning this later in life. I did have an experience, as I've talked about on the show a number of times. Early in my life, I had the chance to learn grade 1, and it was kind of a little bit of an awkward experience because I learned grade 1, I wanted to learn grade 2, and then the teacher, who was actually learning how to teach Braille and was using me as the guinea pig, left the school. Not because of me. I want to be very clear on this.
Okay.
The teacher did not leave because of me.
If you say so.
I'm making that point very loudly. But the thing was that it meant I didn't get grade 2. And because I had low vision, it wasn't something that was even offered to me. And it wouldn't have been offered to me. It was just literally because the teacher was learning Braille herself in order to teach others that I got the chance to learn it. But that's not the case for a lot of children today, and it seems as if there are some more low vision children who are learning Braille, although clearly not enough. And It's something that is a bit of a campaign point for me. I think that, if there was any campaign in the world I'd want to get behind, it would be that all children who are low vision and blind learn Braille, because it's such a useful tool. And today we're going to talk to someone who knows that only too well. Jake is at the Perkins School for the Blind. He is from Boston, Massachusetts, and he joins us here on Double Tap. Great to have you here, Jake. Tell us about your experience of Braille.
Yeah, right now I'm attending Perkins School for the Blind, and I've been here for a couple of years, since 2021. Right now I'm taking 2 college community courses in critical thinking skills and Western civilization, and in the fall I plan to attend college, either here in Massachusetts or back in my home state of Iowa.
So, obviously here we want to talk about Braille because we've been talking a lot about Braille over here on Double Tap, and it's a real passion for people who use Braille. It is a real passion. Do you feel that way too?
I definitely feel that way, yeah. It's very useful, very helpful, helps you with your reading skills, writing skills, and it's more efficient and silent than speech.
Can I just ask, how old are you, Jake?
I'm 19.
You're 19. Now, we've spoken many times on the show about access to education when it comes to learning Braille itself. And over here in the UK, at least, it's been almost fallen to one side, and access to Braille at an early age has always been a bit of a struggle. How have you found access to learning Braille in the first place?
Well, for me, I was very lucky. Our government agency stepped in very quickly and helped me learn and teach me Braille, but along with my parents who helped advocate and stuff. But it's definitely like a patchwork of like different state agencies trying to work on helping people, and then it depends on how much vision people have, and it also depends on how willing TBIs, parents, and the actual student are willing to learn Braille.
Yeah, and you've just hit on the point that I wanted to bring up, which is depending on who and depending where, but also the level of vision someone has. So in your experience, are children who have low vision not learning Braille or not being given the opportunity to learn Braille?
I do kind of feel that way, especially with the rise of like speech to text. I think it's easier for a lot of teachers just to like work with screen readers and stuff instead of having to learn the Braille curriculum. I mean, I definitely see some people who do have low vision have some Braille skills, but it's not as common these days with the rise of like smartphones and computers and stuff.
Yeah, and this is something Shaun and I talk about a lot, isn't it, Shaun? That this rise of computing, which is great, of course, and the fact that we have talking computers and talking devices, phones, all of that, but it really cannot get in the way of Braille. Now, I guess ultimately the question is, what is Braille to you, Jake? What does it mean to you? Is it, as many people say, the key to literacy?
Definitely to me, yeah. To me, it means access to a world of reading, writing, talking, learning, and experiencing different parts of the world through touch and processing through the brain. And that's what Braille means to me. But like it opens up a whole new world without listening to speech all day. And I'm also partially hard of hearing too, so it helps me focus on 2 things at once, and it helps me not miss as much.
Yeah, and that's something that's often not thought about when we talk about Braille, is the hard of hearing or any hearing loss whatsoever. I mean, it makes the world of difference, right? Because so many times I hear the argument, well, everything talks now. The need for Braille has fallen away, but I don't think that's it's simply not true.
I definitely agree. And it's very hard, especially if you're trying to do two things at once with speech and audio. And let's say you're listening to like a class lecture and something like that, and you can't focus on it. And it's really hard.
Now, of course, it is the key to literacy. Of course, that's what Braille is. But, I imagine from your vantage point, it is the key to a future job. It's about employment. So what's the plan, Jake? What are you planning to do with your life? What job are you interested in?
Well,
what career?
I'm not completely sure yet, but I think I'm going to pursue history in college. I'm very fascinated by it. And then after that, I might try to pursue a teaching degree or something along those lines, work in a library or a museum, just something along those lines. Something, working with pieces of history and talking to others.
But you couldn't do that without Braille, right? That's the point. I mean, I could not imagine trying to consume the amount of historical information, the amount of graphical information. Even it's not just written word, is it? It's graphics, it's tables,
That's right.
All the other things that you wouldn't have access to without Braille, without tactile.
Like tactile maps, tactile graphics, correct. Yeah, and it's very helpful, especially when reading, because it's very hard for me to read while listening to speech at the same time. I can do it, but I'm not as good at it. Well, with Braille, I can just read along, just like if I was reading print.
Yeah, absolutely. It does make a huge difference. Can I get a little bit nerdy with you now? What are you actually using? What Braille tech are you actually using there?
So I have a couple Braille displays. I have a Mantis Q40, a Braille Sense Polaris, and an NLS e-reader, which is sort of like the Brilliant BI 20X.
Well, you got me at Mantis Q40 because that is my favorite Braille display of the moment. I am just loving that device. Why have you got the others, though? Is it you want the mix of input options, or do they have different functions for you?
I like having a mix of both, and the Braille Sense is a great device. However, the tech is a little outdated, I have to say, and it freezes up on me a lot. And with these Braille displays, it's so easy to connect them to your computer, your phone, and just have them instantly pair and work on them. And then with the Mantis Q40, you have the QWERTY keyboard, which is very nice, I have to say. It gives you the same typing experience as your sight peers, but in Braille, essentially, at the bottom.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm loving mine, and it's one of those devices that really has, in a way, I guess, reintroduced me again to Braille. I feel like I'm continually being reintroduced to this, but having the ability to have the QWERTY keyboard, the Braille display, all at my fingertips at the same time. And it's interesting you said something earlier about being able to read and listen at the same time. Turning off the speech while you're using that device, it really does change how you consume information. You consume it differently, don't you? It's a different experience using Braille.
Yeah, it's very helpful. I'm in a D&D club, and sometimes we're talking and chit-chatting together, and it's very hard to focus listening to speech. So what I can do is I can follow along with my character sheet with the Braille and my computer while talking to them. It makes it more seamless and fluid.
Yeah, that's the whole point. It's something. It's almost like the audio gets in the way, doesn't it? There's nothing like a chat room of a visually impaired chat room where all the screen readers are going off in the background or whatever. It's just more noise to just get in the way. Braille does away with that. I'm interested, where do you fall on this debate? This is another argument we've had on the show, Jake, about the QWERTY versus Perkins Braille keys.
Oh, I can't believe you're going there, Shaun.
Jake's the cool youth. He's got a more up-to-date opinion on this than we have. So where do you sit on that? QWERTY versus Perkins keys?
Yeah, I've thought about that. And here's a couple ideas, thoughts I have is, I like the Mantis's way where you can use, in the notepad editor, you can use a QWERTY and you can use the Perkins style. I like switching between both because sometimes I feel like I type faster with the Perkins style keyboard, but sometimes I can feel with the QWERTY keyboard, I have more actual typing experience. One of the devices I thought was really interesting a couple of years ago, and this is a Perkins style keyboard, but it has all the control alt and all that, is the QWERTY XL, which is a very interesting device to me. But essentially, it has the Perkins style keyboard in the middle, and then all the control function F keys on the top and the side. And I thought that was a very interesting device because it kind of combines both worlds a little.
Well, it seems to me that you are a bit of a, it's second nature for you, right? Braille, input and reading, it's second nature. You don't really even have to think about it. For me, I'm thinking about people coming to Braille fresh. If the Perkins keys is another obstacle, whereas people may be more familiar with QWERTY keys and, the Braille chords for controlling Windows or Mac or whatever it may be can be another thing to learn. So from my point of view, I think QWERTY may be more familiar, but then you still got people that may not be familiar with QWERTY keyboards anyway. So there's always that learning curve, and I don't think there's a shortcut, right?
Yeah, and I feel like contractions can also be a little difficult too sometimes, especially if you're converting and trying to get more higher level. Like in the beginning, you can kind of get away with it if you're on grade 1. But over time, if you slowly work on you're advancing your Braille skills, it might get in the way if you don't kind of like learn some of the Perkins shortcuts in the Perkins keyboard and like the actual Braille.
Yeah, and this all assumes that people can touch type as well, right? If you can use a QWERTY keyboard fine if you can touch type. And it's interesting because when I think back, that was one skill at school I loved that I learned. I was forced to learn, essentially. I mean, it came out of a bit of a negative place because when I was growing up, Jake, about 1 million years ago, when I was sitting next to a Tyrannosaurus Rex doing my typing class, I was told the only thing you will ever do in life is be a secretary or an administrator. So, you're not going to be doing anything else. And that's why they taught me to touch type. Now, you can see that as a negative, or you could say, well, hey, I got touch typing out of it, and I'm so glad I did because it changed my world. I was able to use a computer. I was able to use today's equipment. Of course, everybody's using that now, which is absolutely amazing. Which leads me to my last question to you, Jake, which is, if someone came in today into your dorm room there and said to you, okay, I'm going to take away that Braille display. I'm going to take away all the Braille displays, and I just need you for the next few years just to live in a world of audio, in a world of text-to-speech. What would be your reaction to that?
Well, I'd be very disappointed, obviously. That's kind of like my lifeline, especially in this digital age. Right? But essentially, I'll just try to work around it and find another solution or use the audio I have and work with. Or if I need a Braille like very desperately, I would use like a Braille or a Perkins style Braille or some sort of other device. Or actually a mechanical device.
And that's it for another Double Tap on YouTube. You can keep in touch. Feedback at doubletaponair.com is our email address. You can drop a comment below on the video as well, and we will get to that in a future episode. Thank you so much for being with us today. We'll catch you again on another Double Tap on YouTube soon.